Dollar. Dirt on money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. His security camera footage revealed a conspiracy by Mr. Ballen. How y'all feel about that? You know what I'm saying? What conspiracy
What could we be talking about?
I know we did a conspiracy video not too long ago, talking about conspiracies. What is your thoughts about conspiracy theories and conspiracies?
Like I said, I think on that video, it's entertaining. Some conspiracies I be leaning more into, just because it's like a little intriguing. I could see where people are like going with it. But some of them, I just think it just be like off, like. No.
I just hate when people like dedicate their whole life to a certain conspiracy and like they forget everything else in the world, just like over soothe themselves into a certain conspiracy. It's just like, why?
Yeah, some of them I just think be like off the wall, and I'm just like, okay, you have too much time on your hands.
True.
But some of them I be like, I can see where you going, but I don't like.
Yeah, overindulging too.
Yeah.
So with that being said, man, before we get into it today, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoy today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
But let's go. Let's hop into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what this story is about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
If you're like me, at some point in your life, you've discovered a conspiracy theory that you believed because you researched it and there was all this information that showed you this is no theory, this is fact. And why isn't the rest of the world woken up to this being true? But you have to remember that when you research a conspiracy theory, a lot of times the information you're finding about that theory has been put online by other people that believe the conspiracy theory is true. It doesn't mean they can't be unbiased, but it means that there isn't a dissenting opinion a lot of times. There's no skeptical opinion. There's no debunking going on. Instead, it's a group of people that already believe it's true and put information online that only validates it's true. And sometimes they'll omit information that blatantly debunks the conspiracy theory. So you got to be careful when you discover a theory and you start researching it because probably you're only seeing one side. But in some cases, these conspiracy theories turn out to be true. Now, in today's story, we don't know if this conspiracy theory is true, but we have pretty difficult to refute video evidence, and we have believers and skeptics alike saying, you know what, this is worth re-examining. I think that there might have been a cover-up here. But what he's saying is true amongst a lot of other things. Even like certain videos we do, I think a lot of people go into even sometimes certain videos with certain bias. Yeah. And the viewer go into just wrapped around the biased opinion of the video. So if you try to like redact it or not be argumentative about it, but just go at it with a different point of view, people will attack you for not agreeing with the video because they feel as though that person
what the video is saying, what's being said in the video is true. So if you're not agreeing with it, then you're the problem.
You're wrong. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's one person's opinion. You trying to give, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the reason, and that's the reason why I like when it comes down to conspiracies.
You don't like touching on certain things.
I don't like touching a lot of conspiracies because I'm like a lot of people are not looking at the realistic logic behind it, and they're only looking at the conspiracy side
or how it could honestly be not true, untrue.
Yeah. They're like, nah, you just like with the rest of them. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to look at the real ideal picture of real world visual from it. But hey, to each his own.
Yeah, to each his own.
Before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel because that is all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. If that's of interest to you, I would encourage you to go out and get a candy apple kit from your local grocery. Get it together. If that's of interest to you, then I would encourage you to go to your local supermarket and purchase a candy apple making kit. But instead of using apples, use large red onions and dip one of those bad boys in and offer it to the like button. Also, please subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story. John Lang was a former U.S. Marine who lived in Fresno, California. And in 2015, while he was living there, he was at a local store and he noticed in the parking lot that some police were acting suspiciously. He did some digging and he noticed that they were running a scam. The police would scan license plates of parked cars in these parking lots, and if they got a hit, they would wait until that person came back, got in their car and drove away. The police would follow them and then pull them over and act like it was just a routine thing when they knew they were going to be able to bust them on this particular violation. This was totally unethical and totally illegal. So Lang began posting on his Facebook about this scam, and he would tell people that this was profit driven. The Fresno PD, they operated on a quota system, so the more people they could arrest, the more money they made. Lang also began posting comments on the Fresno Bee's webpage. The Fresno Bee was a local newspaper, and he would go to their comment section of different articles and he would voice this concern about the Fresno PD, and he would tell them that they need to do something about this, you need to investigate the Fresno PD. No one on Facebook was taking Lang seriously, and no one from the Fresno Bee was reacting to John's claims that there was this scam happening. Now, it's important to note at this time that the Fresno Police Department had a very bad reputation. The chief of police of the Fresno Police Department, along with 5 other Fresno PD officers, had been arrested on drug charges. After the chief of police was let out on bail, another officer, not inside of that initial group that was arrested, went to the chief of police's house to confront the chief because he was furious at him. That night, this officer was found dead right near the chief's house with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. The family of the deceased officer was like, no way, he did not shoot himself in the chest. But either way, no charges were pressed, although many people in the area believed the chief killed that officer and then covered it up. Following Lang's very public critique of the Fresno Police Department on Facebook and on the Fresno Bee, Lang became very concerned that the police department was upset with him for uncovering their scam, and that now they were following him all over town and harassing him. And so as a protective measure, he set up a camera on the outside of his house watching the street, and he started uploading the footage to YouTube. And some of the videos that he pulled are crazy. Lang would upload 17 videos to his YouTube channel called Lang Marine. Now, every video has a fairly detailed caption associated with it where John describes what you're looking at. The first video is of this white pickup truck that pulls up in front of John's property. Now, Lang would say in the description that this particular truck he has seen all over when he's out in public, and he believes it's an unmarked car of police officers that are following him. It slow rolls right in front of his property and then eventually drives away. And then a few moments later, it drives back around and doesn't slow down and drives right past his house. Following these 2 drive-bys, Lang would say that he got a series of hang-up calls that he thinks were the police calling him to intimidate him.
Do you believe that like stuff like this happened for real?
I do.
So my mom was once married at one point, and the guy my mom was married to, he told me he was in the military at the time, also worked at a prison, but was also a former police officer. And so he has like randomly he'll just tell us stories.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of those stories he would tell us gave us like truth as far as validation that a lot of times what you think might be going on probably is going on. You ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, like police, like I've been surrounded by plenty of police officers in my life. Like that's the reason why, like, you know what I'm saying? I have some knowledge, whether it, like when it comes down to military and police officers, they were, a lot of them was involved in my life, whether it be like my stepdad at time or cousins or uncles or a lot of male figures. Even my mom worked in a prison for almost 20 years. Yeah. So I understand a lot of, so in a situation like this, when you see stuff going on, like a lot of times, if you know you've been driving and you haven't done anything and you randomly get pulled over, they've been following 9 times out of 10 following you anyway.
Yeah.
Like, so a lot of times, sometimes when we watch body cam footage and stuff, that's the reason why I go into like just us talking about it sometimes with the knowledge that I like perceive, because I'm like, sometimes the pullover stuff don't be just random. Sometimes it will, but a lot of times, like, some stuff, if you think about it, that's suspicious. It is suspicious. Because a lot of police officers feel as though like they're the law, so they can get away with a lot, and so it's sad.
In the next video, you see a man walking his dog and stopping right in front of John's property. John has a dog, and his dog runs up to the fence, and the two dogs start smelling each other, and at some point, the guy with the dog walks off. Lang believes that that was a plainclothes police officer that was conditioning Lang's dog to not attack him if he were to come into the property. Lang is suggesting that the Fresno police are preparing to assault his property.
And you do it at night. You see how randomly he just casually walks.
Especially if you've never seen him before.
And
in the third video, Lang...
And if you peep the type of dog.
Definitely.
It's not like...
I mean, people have those dogs, but it's just kind of like... Yeah. I've never seen you before in a neighborhood, you know.
And you at nighttime.
At nighttime. And
walking
the type
your
dog.
In that type of dog, yeah.
That he came back to his house and someone had tampered with his security system with that camera, and he was now missing 20 minutes of footage.
That's crazy.
The fourth video he uploads is by far the most well-known of any of the uploads, and it shows a minivan pull up right in front of his house on the other side of the street. They slide open the door, and out pops this guy with some very high-tech camera equipment that Lang claims is a thermal imaging camera, and that they were scanning his house to see if he was home or not. Now, whether or not this was actually plainclothes police with a thermal imager or not, if it was my house and I saw someone across the street with that piece of equipment, I'd have some questions about what are you doing here? And apparently John felt just as concerned as I would have been, because at this point, he files an official complaint against the Fresno PD to their internal affairs. Lang claims that following that formal complaint, things only got worse. He believes that internal affairs gave that complaint to the rest of the police department, and that further upset them and made them target him even more aggressively. In the fifth video that Lang uploads to his channel, you see a guy in civilian clothes walking up to the front of Lang's property and then stopping right in front. He kind of looks up at Lang's property and then turns around and begins walking away. And then he starts texting and he gets into a car and he leaves. Lang believes this was a plainclothes police officer who was seeing if he was home and then reporting what he saw to the rest of the police. In the sixth video, Lang claims that police cruisers were driving up and down his street at 2 a.m. to try to wake him up with their sirens on. The seventh video, without reading the description, would mean nothing to you. But when you read the description, it's pretty interesting. He says the two guys that lived next door to him had randomly invited him to come over. Now, he wasn't close with his neighbors, but he agreed to go over. At some point, once he got over there, he felt like something was off. He didn't know what it was, but he felt very uncomfortable, and so he decides to leave. At which point, he says his neighbors did not want him to leave. They were really aggressively trying to get him to stay inside of their house. And when he said, no, I'm leaving, he said they blocked his way. He managed to push past them, walked outside. You see them following him as he leaves their property and walks on the sidewalk to his property. He has a fence around his house, and he's trying to get to his fence to open it up, and they're blocking his way. They're not letting him go into his property. And when finally he kind of pushes past them to go inside, they start yelling his name. And Lang would say that he thinks they were working with the police, And they had pulled him away from his house so the police could go into Lang's house. And that when Lang was going back into his property, when they were yelling his name, that was to alert the police that he was coming back into the house. When Lang did go up to his house, he saw that the front door lock had been tampered with. And then when he went inside, his computer and his printer also appeared to have been tampered with.
Wow.
Now, this is only what Lang is saying. There is no proof that any of that happened, but that is the context for that video.
You know, I've told you this before, right? If your neighbor, like, you speak, like let's just say this because we've been here for a while.
Yeah.
If the neighbors, like, across the street, you know some shit going on, you suspicious of something, and the neighbors across the street invite you to come over, are you going over? You never been, come on. Like, just be honest and up for it.
No, sometimes I say no.
Either one of them.
No. Even though that one said that she wanted to get us all together and do something, still, no. Probably not. Even though she seems sweet, I just don't trust people.
But especially when you know stuff has been going on and you
Yeah,
have been suspicious of stuff.
And then, like, all of a sudden, like, you're adamant about me, like,
coming over, let's
hang, trying to get me away.
So on John's
Probably
behalf,
not,
he
no.
should never have went over there in the first fucking place.
Yeah.
It was already
Especially,
red
like,
flags.
you've never, like, I've only probably just spoke to you. We never really had a conversation probably like
Interactions
that. Like,
and
interaction, like, for real. Like, on that type of level.
Yeah.
And then you just invite me to your house. All this stuff is going on. You've never invited me before. I'm not going.
But for the typical person out here, they're like, well, I doubt my neighbor
my
gonna
neighbors will be involved.
Because they've been here for how long? So but you never know where they work.
Whatever they may have going, and the police probably threaten them like, hey, or who they connected with, or hey, we'll help you in this area if you do
we'll
this.
cut you on some property taxes,
whatever
or something.
it is.
Yeah,
like, all right, people do anything for something.
And they did it at night.
That's his dog.
The 8th video shows 2 cruisers showing up in the middle of the night and parking out front of Lang's property, and at least 6 officers get out and are just standing there under a streetlight. They don't appear to be doing anything. It doesn't make sense why they're there, but they stand there and kind of look over at Lang's property for a decent amount of time before ultimately getting back in and leaving. Lang says they were doing that purely to intimidate him.
Yeah, that's definitely intimidation.
That's an intimidation tactic. I would have even more cameras.
What you said.
In
back
the
of
house,
the house, inside of the house, inside the house, everywhere.
Videos 9 through 16 are fairly unremarkable, but there is one video where very clearly someone walks right up to Lang's truck and tries to break into it. It's not subtle, and Lang believes this was a plainclothes police officer.
I have too much time. That's crazy.
The 17th and final video that Lang uploads shows a carpet cleaning van pulling up right in front of his property. On the passenger side, a man gets out. He's wearing civilian clothes, just smoking a cigarette, looking up at Lang's property, and they're there for quite some time. And at some point, he gets back in the car after they don't do any carpet cleaning and they drive off. After uploading this final video, he goes onto Facebook and he shares a link to that video and he tells people to remember this van because he believed that the Fresno PD were just days away from finally launching their attack against him. Over the next couple of days, his Facebook posts become increasingly more panicked. He starts saying that he regrets ever critiquing the police department. He says that any moment they're going to come into his house and kill him. Then finally, in one of his last posts to Facebook, he asks his friends, will someone come stay with me? I'm scared for my life. And while his friends were concerned, no one took him that seriously, and so no one stayed with him.
Dang.
That weekend, John Lang was found dead inside of his house that had been set on fire. When the fire department showed up to try to put the fire out, the door was barricaded shut, and when the coroner did his first initial report on the body, he said that Lang had stab wounds all over his chest and his back, but had ultimately died of asphyxiation. Wow. That initial report had been given to some of the journalists that were reporting on the story, and so they tweeted about it. John Lang, multiple stab wounds to the chest, to the back, died of asphyxiation. But following Lang's autopsy done by this coroner, where 2 Fresno police officers were in attendance, Granted, it's apparently customary to have police officers present for autopsies, but it's worth pointing out for the context of the story. That same coroner retracted his statement about the location of these stab wounds and said they were only located on his chest, not his back, and that they were self-inflicted. And so this is a clear-cut suicide, and everybody can just move on.
Wow.
And so they did. No charges were pressed against the Fresno PD, and this was ruled a suicide. When the news came out that this was considered a suicide, anybody that had been following along John Lang's claims either on his YouTube channel or on Facebook that the Fresno PD was out to get him, they were not buying that this was a suicide. They thought that the Fresno PD was responsible. A number of internet sleuths began investigating the case. That van that had pulled up in front of Lang's property in his final video when he said, "Remember this van?" Well, the logo on the side of that van was for a carpet cleaning company. That didn't exist. Someone discovered that it was a fake company. Also, they found out that Lang had apparently tried to call his ex-wife a number of times right before neighbors had reported seeing smoke coming out of his house. There was this huge petition put together on change.org that's still active to try to reopen the coroner's investigation. But despite the strangeness surrounding John Lang's case, it has been ruled a suicide, and there's no sign that they're about to reinvestigate it. So did the Fresno Police Department attack John Lang in retaliation for him discovering their license plate scam? Or did John Lang commit suicide? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to as many people as I can. If you liked this video...
So what you think happened?
I definitely do think that...
They got to him?
I definitely do think that there's no... Like, all this stuff, the videos, because if he didn't get those cameras, no one probably would have believed him. They would have just probably thought like, he going crazy, paranoid, whatever the case may be. But all these videos, this footage that you have, even the neighbor incident, someone being in your house, you could tell your printer and computer has been tampered with. Like, they were just leading up to it. And, yeah, I definitely do think that they were involved. Well, not even involved, but that they did it.
And I'll say this as well. It don't even necessarily have to be that the police themselves was doing things. They have connections to... Well, let me just say this. Doesn't necessarily mean the Fresno police had to be the one that was doing and targeting you. They have connections. They have connections to outside police people. So people that's outside their district. Or wherever their precinct, wherever, or even their county, they could have had people come in from the other county that wouldn't be recognized amongst the community. Also, like, let's be real, they have connections to gang ties. They have connections to, like, the police department. A lot of times, almost all police departments have something corrupt going on. Mm-hmm. Almost all. And the reason why they got mad is because once you point out this situation, what else can they uncover? Mm-hmm. You see, the chief of police and a couple other police officers were arrested for drugs, doing illegal drug activity. And then this, you telling me the chief is doing dirt? There's dirt going on underneath. There's not there's never somebody high rank that's doing dirt and the rest don't follow. Facts. Like the situation was going on around here with the girl and the police officer. Mm-hmm. The head nigga knew about it. 9 times out of 10, he was involved. Yeah. What you say? Nothing. I ain't have to say it like that. Yeah. But he literally was the head nigga. But the head dude in charge, he had something to do with it. So come on now. It's
always, but going back to what you said, yeah. Regardless of the fact if it was the Fresno cops themselves, at the end of the day, they still are, in my eyes, they are still responsible. Regardless of the fact, regardless if you got someone on the outside to do it or whatever connect you got over here to do it, at the end of the day, it's still your doing, regardless of the fact. But that's just going off of what's been presented to me. And all the other stuff that y'all were doing, the standing outside his house, 7 of y'all, for what?
Is there anything that you possibly learn from this? Like you could take in as far as...
No.
So one of the biggest things I feel like...
Let me see.
No,
go ahead.
One of the biggest things you can learn from this situation is... It's 2016.
Was it 2016?
Yeah, it's 2016.
Yeah. 2016.
So camera technology shit was going on very good then. The camera quality wasn't that good. But
it wasn't that good.
But
it was good
I'll say
enough
this. At that time, there was also better cameras out there available. In 2016, my mom had cameras. She still got cameras put up everywhere. So, yeah. I'll say this. Not only you need to have it stored on a hard device inside your home, but you need to be uploading somewhere else. Because by going inside, they were trying to see how your whole system, your camera system operates. Also, you need to have multiple cameras pointing in multiple directions. If you are believing something like this is going on, you need to have multiple cameras pointing in multiple directions so you can be able to catch her at all angles. You need to one right here, one in the back, one in the back. Also, it needs to be uploaded not only to something physical, because I will say upload to something physical, but also something like to an online platform where it's stored, where nobody has easy access to. And also give somebody who you 100% trust the accessibility to be able to view it at any time as well. Also, have one possibly inside your home as well. Because even if they did have a camera that they can read, they probably is trying to detect how many, like the visual aspect. You know what I'm saying?
So that's what you saying you learned.
I say that's one thing you can learn to take away from is, hey, if I'm gonna have security and I got some stuff like that going on, I need to have multiple people that can actually view it to make sure I'm not just seeing shit that they are actually. Because if somebody else was able to view and it was being uploaded somewhere else, that attack would have been caught on camera and somebody else would have had access to it. Like, say for instance, his ex-wife. If y'all are still in communication on that type of level, she could have been able to access that and say, hey, here's proof. Because whoever did that needs to be held accountable. And you was in a paranormal, I can't get the word out. Paranoia state at that moment to have went into to protect. And having cameras that, like, but I know some people will call you crazy for doing that, but still, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
In that sense, though, so he was uploading it to YouTube, right?
But it's technically been, obviously,
but I'm saying he was uploading it to YouTube. I'm saying even if he had the cameras in his house, and he was able to store it on some type of hard drive and have it in his house, even with the attack, because obviously after the attack, they set the house on fire, so that would have been destroyed regardless.
It would have already been uploaded onto another platform. So
what you saying where it could be like in real time being...
So...
I'm asking the question.
Again, I'm finna answer the question.
Go ahead.
So you remember they broke in previously before, and
that situation.
If it was uploaded somewhere else, they would have that footage would have still been there. So that 20 minutes that was missing, it would have, like, you got to have it going multiple places. What I'm saying. Yeah. Two, the attack when they came in at home, if there's a camera on inside the home in the living area. That would have been uploaded somewhere else. Even if the house is caught on fire, with it being digitally saved onto the internet, that still would have been captured. So even if the file is destroyed, the physical file, that's the reason why they have no evidence, because obviously he was saving it onto something hard, a hard file inside the home. So if the house is on fire, that evidence is destroyed. But if it's uploaded online into an internet file, it's there. So the evidence of the attack would have been there. The evidence of the intruder would have been there. The evidence that led up to the attack would have been there. Okay, all that information. The reason why they don't have any of that visual aspect of it is because it was all on a physical disc. And so when whoever came in and attacked him, now you set the house on fire, all that evidence is gone.
But you know something? You can do all of those things. You can take all those measures.
At least I can solve my own murder while I'm dead.
But would it have really done anything with the whole system from the top to the bottom being corrupt? Seemed like
but
what
the reason
do
why
you
I
think
said
something would have actually been done if people would have been held accountable?
Yes, because it would have got out to journalists, and journalists would have got it. It's 2016. The internet Sometimes you need the internet to be able to solve a crime. And sometimes with corruption like that going on, the internet is not that corrupt part of that corruption. So peep this. If that evidence was there and people were able to get a hold to it and put it out there to journalists, and journalists was able to report on it, it would have been outside people came in and went down with rabbit hole and fixed the corruption.
I mean, I guess if you would have had like someone like a physical face and not just like a body, like a person coming in and doing this stuff, like, because we don't know if they wear gloves, we don't know if they wear like a mask over their face when they broke into his house. We don't know this stuff, so they could have said that this was it. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the actual going inside his home, possibly. I'm talking about that.
But all these people, you have physical evidence of all these people. Some type. Honestly, if you had that much, you would have started looking into all this.
I know.
Without that, all this evidence is oblique. Nobody cares because they like that's nothing. That's just him being paranoid. Especially when you rule it as suicide. It's he was paranoid. He was going
right.
But if you had some type of online recording. And it still would have been showed the attacks, show people coming into his house, show every interaction that happened and before. Because obviously we don't have video footage of what had led up to prior to the attack inside of his home. Right. So if we don't have video evidence because it was destroyed in a house fire, we can't say necessarily what exactly happened. So now we need the coroner. Who's some of the closest people to the coroner, the county coroner? The police department. If the police department is behind this, hey, we cover. They go to them coroners all the time. Mm-hmm. They will tell the coroner no. And some of them, hey, I'd rather keep my job than y'all do something to me. So if y'all, however.
So what are you saying? Because.
What am I saying? What you mean? What am I saying?
Because.
Go with a question. Don't just say.
No, because I'm basically we saying the same thing in a sense, but it was like you was like.
Overlapping something.
Yeah, what I was saying, and then I'm like, okay,
no, I'm not debunking what you're saying. I'm saying there's ways to have evidence that would be able to convict the corrupt. But I'm saying without having that access,
and that's what I'm saying. Without we're saying the same thing. But different ways.
No. There will never be justice because everything was corrupt. There were never. Honestly, in this situation, I don't think Lane would ever get justice behind.
I don't think he will either.
The reason why is because there were video footage evidence of somebody coming onto his property. Mm-hmm. There was video, but that evidence is
gone. It's destroyed
because the house was caught on fire, which the evidence was on the hard.
Or
it wasn't. So, like, we got the Ring camera. Our Ring camera is automatically uploaded onto internet file.
Right, but this is what I'm saying, baby. This is what I'm saying. With whatever, when he had went to the neighbor house and the person broke into his home, he probably didn't even have that footage because if you think back, prior, someone tampered with the footage and erased like 20 seconds of something or 20 minutes of some footage was gone. So, if his computer was tampered with, his his printer was tampered with, they probably even deleted that little bit of footage of even someone even.
Yes, because it's physical. I said if it's uploaded on the internet.
And I said yes, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay,
I was like, okay, cool. Keep going. We agree with that. I don't have anything else to say. I agree with that. Right. The point is, I don't think that there will ever be justice. I do think that the police department has something to do with it. I do agree with you. If it was uploaded on some type of physical, yes, I get all of that.
Not some type of physical.
I mean, not physical, whatever.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Leave it alone. Leave that part alone. Like, because we keep visiting that. And so I agree with that. I do feel like if it was if he used other outlets to put this footage up.
And not just recorded and uploaded to YouTube, but actually had real-time footage.
Yeah.
Being saved into some kind of online
I agree
storage.
with that. I do feel like maybe
like
the situation will probably be different.
Yeah.
Like, there will be so much more. You have so many other people I agree with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. But if there was the case, then I do feel like the situation probably would be different. But you can't really say 100%.
And then you said who would come in and get the corrupt cops. Earlier you said that.
I said who would come in and get them?
Yeah, you said so. What will be done even if we had that footage? If you get that to the news outlets, you see somebody attack them. You can. And then that's another reason why I said you have to have more angles of surveillance
I agree.
footage. You have to have angles at all parts. Like you even said, soon we get our house that we gonna get, I'm gonna have motion lights on it too. So when soon you trigger into the yard, the light pop up, and we get a clear view of who you are in every location of the home. I just wish he had went about it like even a more serious route than just one camera.
Yeah.
I wish he had cameras on both angles of the homes to point, and they can get a wider view on the front and in the back, because they probably had back entries into it too, which he probably didn't have a camera there. But I don't know how his home set up, but I do feel like the dog tactic was a tactic, because you're gonna smell that dog on me, you're gonna smell something familiar with me, and you understand it's a comfort, and you're just like, okay, I understand that smell, so I'm not gonna bark, I'm not gonna get growled, it's not no longer a threat.
Yeah.
So whoever was doing that was trying to figure out. They used a lot of good tactics, man. And it's messed up, because his murder would just go unjustified. Like, well, not unsolved, and he wouldn't. Yeah, unjustified, because he won't get justice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm just very like, when I see cases like this, I get over passionate about it. Ain't nothing I can do about looking into it, but I do feel like the police were behind this, and typically if anything happened like that, and y'all knew that, especially what led y'all to even want to attack him, somebody was afraid of some other stuff.
But you know what's so crazy?
Being uncovered.
Never mind.
What's so crazy? No, say it.
No, I was just gonna say, what's so crazy is the fact that whoever these neighbors are, the fact that you was even able to get them involved, get them on y'all's. Yeah, right. So they do that with a lot of people. So that was my only reason why I said what I said. I just kind of threw that in the air, like what things have been different. Like I understand you know you said with the journalists and stuff, but if you like having the coroner basically recant his whole observation of how this person passed, what happened, you know, X, Y, Z, and then they come back around and say, no, well, actually it's suicide. That this is what happened, whatever the case may be, and then you know what I'm saying? And then
also,
and I get the journalists, like, cause they
a lot of them don't give a fuck.
They don't care about that. They want their story, their big story, or whatever the case may be. So if anything, that would have been like the only thing I feel like, as far as like, what you thinking about?
Why the fuck the coroner even rule suicide by stabbing in the chest? If you're gonna stab yourself to die, you're either gonna slit your wrist or slit your neck, because you want it to be gone. Anybody who Typically, so anybody who wants to
telling me I stabbed myself multiple times.
I don't want to keep using the term, but my bad.
What?
The S word. I don't want to keep using because YouTube sensitive.
Okay, well I poked myself.
Not stab. I'm saying.
Oh, the other word. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I stabbed myself multiple times, and then I set my house on fire.
That too.
Like that don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. No. And then I also wonder.
And it barricade.
Like that doesn't make sense. And then I also want to know why he was possibly calling his ex-wife so many times before it all.
Maybe she was the like.
Like I would just like to know that like if that's even any importance, or did y'all talk normally?
They probably had still good relationship. Yeah. Because some people still.
No, I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying like I'm wondering why did he hear something, see something, and he just wanted maybe to have her on the phone, like cause she probably was the only person that probably like really believed him. You know how some people, So I don't know, but this sad.
Again, nobody's gonna do that. Because typically when somebody wants to go, it's quick. Gunshot, hang, snapping of the neck, that type of thing. That's pain. That's long-term pain. Constantly, over and over and over. You'll never do that because you're feeling it. And that's suffering. No, they would want to go quick, right? So it's a slash of the wrist, slash in the neck type thing. typically one wound, not multiple wounds.
Because if I'm going to take my own life,
and if he had wounds on any of his back, for one, that's not possible. Even if I go frontwards, it's still not possible to.
No, it's not at all. And that was the thing. If I put that information out that it was front and back, then we can already rule out that he did it to himself. So that's why he had to recant and say, no, it was just the front. He did this. But my thing is,
I wondered, did he have any family to do a private autopsy?
No.
If I do my own private autopsy, they also check the back and see if there's any ligature marks in the back. And there's ligature marks in the back. There is no way someone could even stab themselves in the back or even puncture themselves from the front to the back.
And then my thing also, because obviously with someone stabbing him front and back, whatever the case may be, that didn't even cause him to die.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to set my house on fire after I do this to myself, then I might as well just set my house on fire and barricade the door, like not even go through all the other stuff. You know, it doesn't. None of it makes sense. It's so crazy to me how things like people just believe anything, or did people actually believe it, or people were scared to even like voice it and be like no, or fight them on it, because if y'all do this to him and the other cop. Keep that in mind.
Y'all will do it
to anyone. And who's to say that y'all haven't done things like this before, but no one has ever had like this type of like video clips or whatever the case may be, or just like a voice to even like, hey, this is being done to me, or people that know about this. This is not your first or second rodeo.
When there's corruption at the top, there's corruption throughout.
Yeah, it's sad. That's messed up.
That's a corrupt. And I wonder have they ever even did anything about it. Like,
have things changed now?
Yeah, or has anybody ever like, has anything else been caught, flagged, and people have been arrested for other things, like the chief with the drug situation?
Have y'all cleaned house?
Yeah.
Cause child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
y'all spam us up, man. Let us know y'all thoughts about it in the comment section down below, man. This was a crazy story. Hearts go out to John Lane and his family. Mm-hmm. Like, for sure his family, because they'll never get the answers that they deserve. Facts. And I wonder, does he even still have like family that could possibly even fight? Because at the end of the day, a murder there's no
statute of limitation.
Statute of limitation. I'll be like, help me with the words, girl, because I can't think right now. Mm-hmm. But there's no statute of limitation to when it comes down to murder. So I really say somebody should answer for this crime, because this is a crime.
Definitely.
And there's no way he's going to barricade himself, stab himself, and set his house on fire. And how was the house set on fire? Was it set on fire from the inside or out?
Or out. Was it...
what room? Where did the fire start from?
Was it electric fire? We know now. But I'm saying that y'all...
Well, it's an arson. It's not going to be electric at all.
I know.
Unless somebody can do some shit I ain't never seen before.
Right. True. I was trying to throw stuff out there to be like, obviously we know that he didn't do this to himself, but thank you. and just one more thing, I would like to know like all the people like that were walking by, were they actual cops, or did y'all get like, because you said people got connects, were they cops in the city, were they like surrounding? I would like to know, since we see his face. We see his face clear. Yeah. And we know that the van he was in was fake.
And the other dude that was trying to steal the car.
Is he a Fresno cop? And it was right.
That was actually a good picture of the dude who's trying to steal. That's a good picture.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so many questions.
True. Yeah. Y'all let us know, man, in the comment section down below how y'all feel about it. What's y'all thoughts? Like, what's your opinions? Let us know down below, man. But as always, y'all know how it go. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
Delayed? Why you delayed?
Come on.
I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.